Hi, everyone. I'm Mandy Bearley from Yahoo Entertainment. Thank you for joining us for another Conversation at Build series. Our guests are 5 of the captains from Discovery's Emmy-winning reality series, Deadliest Catch, which returns Tuesday night for its 14th season. Before we bring out Captain Sig Hansen, Keith Colburn, Wild Bill Wachowski, Jake Anderson, and Josh Harris, let's watch the trailer for the new season of Deadliest Catch.
Every captain wants to be the best. Especially the young guys coming up.
I deserve a seat at the table.
You gotta man up and do your own thing.
You have access to information.
Find your own information! Get off the boat!
Better fisherman than you any day of the week!
I've got $1 million worth of crab I gotta go catch. It's game time in the Bering Sea.
I will be your captain for the string.
Josh is back!
Who knows it?
There's pride in it when you have to fight for it. Don't try to,
To get something you've never had, you gotta do something you've never done.
Do we have a fuel wheel?
You battle through it, and there's nowhere to run.
Abandon ship! Survival suits on now!
Not everyone makes it home. No one said the American dream was easy.
Deadliest Catch premieres Tuesday, April 10th at 9 on Discovery and Discovery Go.
That is a trailer, my friends. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Season 14 starts tomorrow night. You guys were obviously watching that trailer. I know you've seen it before, but Sig, what's your reaction when you saw that for the first time and saw what's going on all the other boats?
That's all the stuff I'm trying to forget. You know? But no, it's amazing. I mean, every time you see the trailer for the first time, it's been 14 years, you know, you look back and you're like, man, that is pretty cool stuff. Like, you know, you forget after the first season, and then it just brings it all back. It's fun.
Well, I actually wanted to, break down some of the things we saw. I want to start with Sig and Jake. I think your relationship is...
I knew you were going to do that.
I'm sitting up front, right?
I know,
I was like,
is that why you
Is that why you're
they've got me
in the middle, absolutely.
Exactly. No, your relationship is one of fans' favorites on the show. Obviously, Sig, you've been a mentor, a father figure to Jake, but we see some tension rising.
It's my boy.
He's your boy. So I guess how would you describe your relationship as we start this season?
Well, I mean, I think you saw the relationship in the trailer. I was basically, and it's weird because we did this in October, right? That's when king crab rolls around, and then of course we do the opilio and the snow crab season in January, and then the show airs in April. So you look back, and I'm always thinking, you know, it's like, dude, I love you, you know, I don't want to hurt you, but it was like time to leave the nest, and I just feel like that's how, I don't know, my old man would have treated me, and that's just kind of just the first reaction. Yeah. I don't know.
What about you? How did you feel about that moment?
Well, I think for me, you know, you got this multi-million-dollar business you're managing. I'm young, and you're trying to look to ensure that you are safe first and that you're guaranteeing that money. So you kind of like what you saw that I did was I was looking for any way to ensure that money. So I went to Sig, which seemed to be the best way for me to ensure that crab getting into my tank safely. And it's not easy when you're going up and asking another skipper, especially for me to ask Sig, hey, can I work with you? Because
well, we had tried it before, see, and then it didn't click too well.
It just never works.
Well with you too.
Well,
It's a little bit like Failure to Launch. I don't know if you remember that movie, but...
Right, exactly. Well, let's go back to Josh. Obviously, fans so happy to see the Cornelia Marie back on the show, you back in the wheelhouse after, 18 months away. I know you kissed and hugged the boat the first time you saw her. So let's just talk about what was it like for you to return and what can we expect for your season?
I was so happy to go back to work. And it's just, you know, I'm just happy to be back to work. I mean, it's a lot of exciting things and a lot of injuries all the way around, and it was just a nightmare, but a blessing all at the same time. But everybody's got their fingers and toes as far as I know, so that's a good thing.
That is good. I think you told me before you left for King Crab, you had basically a whole new crew. And I think fans always wonder, why is it so hard to keep a crew together?
It's easy for me.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they're all family, and they all own
Why is
part of the
that,
boat.
Josh?
Oh, that's because
make
they're
a
all
lot of
old
money.
Shit. You can't swear on here, can you? I can.
Yes,
okay.
have the green light on
I'm not
swearing.
going to try to do that, but they always tell me not to swear, and but no, it's the new guys, you know, and you know, I own the boat, and Casey owns a percentage of the boat. So, you know, we will always be on the boat, like his crew. I think everybody owns a piece of the Northwestern. It's family-owned, you know, vessel. And so they get that's what they do, you know. But new age guys, millennials, you know, a lot of guys, they're really good at doing techie stuff, but never many people want to come out and actually do the old school, work 20 hours a day, you know, pushing things that weigh as much as a car around and get yelled at all the time. You know, it's just not the new age style of things.
Which one of you thinks you had the most trouble with your crew personality-wise this year? Anyone want to step up?
I had a great crew, but I think like what we were just talking about is I'm young. I don't have the reputation that these three have. And so, like, Sig has spent years building his crew, same with Keith, same with Bill. And for me, you know, you're getting a lot of young guys in the industry. They want to come in, make a quick buck, and they don't really understand it. It's a 12-month, you're spending 12 months a year working on that boat, and guys just don't really want to be a part of that anymore.
Hey, Jake, with Sig, you got to marry into the family to be a new guy. You know, it's Mandy gets married, and all of a sudden we have another. Did he change his last name to Hansen?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure it's been mentioned. I know.
You mentioned injuries. Keith, obviously we see in the trailer ordering your crew to put on the survival suits. What can you tell us about that situation? Hopefully it all turned out okay.
You gotta watch the show.
Yeah, that situation actually didn't go well at all. No, that did not go over well at all. So,
Guys, just so you know, you can't BS this woman right here.
No,
'Cause
I'm
you've
being
seen
completely honest, man.
Every single episode since day one, just so you know.
I'm trying to calculate
I mean,
everything
she's like
that,
super fan.
that I did
Super
wrong
fan.
in my life in the last 12 years.
No, but is there, I mean, I guess you've been through situations similar to like that before. What can you sort of tell us about the setup to that? What happened? We also see like a fuel spill mentioned. I don't know if that's the cause of that situation.
no, the fuels.
She's trying to suck it out of you.
It's just a little piece.
At some point, I'm going to actually
We're gonna
answer
get
your
in the fight
question.
now.
You
He's
gotta
very
watch
spoiler
the show
phobic.
just like everybody else. Don't fall for that trap. That's what she's doing.
I'm not going to give her any more than I have to. Don't worry, Sig. Yeah, no, we were trying to
Trouble.
save Sig's crew from a major disaster at the time, and he was going down, and the only one we didn't want to save was Sig, and Edgar was trying to feed us $20 bills to not save Sig, and you just got to watch the show.
I'll tell you something that you don't know.
Okay.
Do you know Sig's deathly afraid of being in the water?
I did not know that. Can't, never
You
learned.
got to watch the bait.
Yeah.
You're going to have to watch
You
the
got to
bait
watch
now.
the bait because someone has to drag him actually out of the water because he was not doing well.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, that's a good tease. Thank you, Jake, for producing. We like that.
Don't worry, I'm going to get in trouble with you if we get upset. I'm in big trouble.
That's gonna
He's
cost you.
smiling now. Yeah, you know it.
Well, we also saw in the trailers, going back to Bill, a man overboard. Obviously, the most most dangerous situation you can see on Deadliest Catch. Is there anything you can sort of say about what caused
That happened on my
situation?
boat?
That's what they told me. Yeah.
Or was it my
Well, this
boat?
has been Sig jokes, but this has been one of the hardest things. It is a big deal. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I haven't had it happen before. But I can't really sit here and tell you much other than Tuesday at 9, and you catch the bait at 8. I'm not going to give you any beans on that one.
And I can say something about Bill. We've been doing a lot of interviews. You know, obviously we want to promote Deadliest Catch for good reason. I've never seen him get so choked up in my life. So this is like the most serious topic you could ever touch on. And sincerely, he really took it to heart. And it's about as real as you're gonna get, I think. What he has to go through and the people that went through it. So that topic is a tough one.
You prepare for this every day as a captain, every day as a deckhand. And I'll just give you this one little bit. The instant it happened, I went, no way, that didn't happen. I just didn't see that, did I? And I did.
Yeah, you see someone in the water and you're like, it's surreal. I mean, when Freddie jumped in the water to try and jump on that walrus, the entire crew was like, no, this can't actually be happening right now. We've got a guy in his underwear on top of a dead walrus.
And the time Sig and Phil...
Picture that.
And the time
Right,
Sig and Phil threw me in the water with the survival suit, you were like, this is not happening, is it?
And it did.
Well, but I mean, for people that haven't seen Deadliest Catch before, like, just so they understand, like, this guy has a crew member that goes in the water. He's alive. He knew him as a child, and now he's responsible for him. And then Bill's watching this guy literally dying, and you've only got a few minutes, right? It's in the Bering Sea. What do you got? 10 minutes before hypothermia
At
sets
best.
in, and you're
That's
at best,
two,
and you're done.
typically.
So it's yeah, that's the one thing about the show. It's just real. It's not even a show. It's a documentary. It's as real as you're gonna get. So
That's why you'll never see me watching the show, because I can only relive that once. I can't relive it twice. It's hard just even talking about a lot of stuff, and to see like Bill these last couple weeks talk about it. I mean, I've always grown up and he was the toughest guy we knew, and to see it break him down it became pretty real to me, and hopefully I never go through that experience.
Do the rest of you watch the show, or is it hard for you all to watch episodes back? Anyone watch?
I haven't watched it since my dad passed away, and that's just because you think of just a guy going overside, but watching your father pass away on the show. I mean, that really kind of changed everything. But a point that was made, it's kind of cool that we were discussing the other day, and it's kind of like we've kind of turned the boat into our own boat, and still will always be in great memory of my father, but we put our own flavor into it, and so it's kind of giving me a different outlook on things, But well, maybe this year we'll watch. We'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure I know what happens on our part because I was there, but
It's highly, highly stressful for me to watch, because if I watch Sig or Keith or Bill, I can get through some of that, but when I see what they're going through, it just is so much stress for me that it's just like, well, because it's real. We're not out here scripting this. We're not out here faking this. We don't, honestly, especially the skippers, we don't have time to pretend. We got 6 people that we're trying to get back home safely and make money, and it's a difficult procedure for me.
I remember the first year when it was on, first couple of years, and of course girls were in gymnastics and just like doing 90 miles an hour trying to get home to watch the show, and then it's like you're watching it, and I couldn't even watch it with my wife or the girls because I would freak out, and just about any little thing, and by the end of the day, she's like, all right, your office is that way. That's where you're watching the show from now on. You're not going to do it with us, because you just get so animated and involved in it, because stuff that happened,
Your phone
way
will
back
tell
when.
you how you did on the show. Because you'll be watching, and you'll be doing
Everybody
something
calls.
else, and all of a sudden it's like bing, ding, 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 sounds like a fire alarm, and you're either getting chewed out or somebody's, on me, I'm usually getting chewed out because I'm whatever, but you can tell as the show goes on, and when it gets across the country too, I catch a lot more hell from the West Coast than I do from the East Coast, so.
You don't remember things the way that they actually occur. I mean, all of us, whatever we're doing during the course of the day. So something happens, you're yelling at someone, whatever. In your mind, it's like, okay, I was right. It's okay, then you watch it played back, and you're like, oh my God, I do not want to watch myself. This is really hideous. So it's kind of hard to watch the show sometimes because, it kind of exposes all of our ugly, nasty warts, but also, sides of us that are good and, professional, I guess.
And Keith, you had and Bill had once told me that you loved whenever Elliot came on the show because then he sort of took up the villain role,
yeah,
and that your fan mail had changed from that point. What is the fan mail like for each of you, now, all these years later?
Well, that's the torch we all tried to pass, the bad guy. He had it for a long time. And then I came on, and I could see him going, woo, Bill's here. And then Elliot picked it up. I think it's kind of flying around right now.
It kind of skips from me. I think I'm holding a little bit of it, but it's too hot for me to handle.
I like it when Keith's the bad guy, man. Come on, stay the bad guy.
Now, Sig, it's your year. It's your year, Sig
That's what they're telling
Hansen.
us.
That's
yeah,
true.
That's kind of looking
true.
like that from the previews. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Sig hasn't been the mean. Oh, what did he do to you? He threw you out of the wheelhouse?
20 years of fishing, I've never been kicked out of a
Friendship,
wheel.
family.
Buy me a river.
Well, no, Sig, we did see recently on the recap special, Edgar sat down with you and was trying to make you promise or sign a contract that you wouldn't pull a 48-hour grind again. Do we see you do that again this season, or have you sort of learned to tap out when you need to?
Because I love you so much,
You're going to tell me something, Sig?
I'm going to say I learned how to tap out. How about that?
Okay. Woo.
I'll grow up someday. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to have to watch now because I don't know.
You don't
BS.
What you don't get is this, all right? We get windows of opportunity to fish where we've got some good weather, all right? And we may have just been up 24, 26, 28 hours, and all of a sudden the weather's coming down, and we've got things to get done before that next big storm shows up. So there's times when you can't sign a contract saying, oh, I'm only going to work you so long, and you can get coffee breaks every 15 minutes. It's just not like that. You know, it's go until you can't go any longer and get the gear moved and get the gear on crab.
I feel like every season Discovery teases that it's the worst storms on record. That was again in this press release for this season. What can you tell me about the weather? Because that is one of, another character on the show, basically.
We had a 150-year
Event.
this year.
Yeah.
That's only happens every 150 years, right?
Every 150. It's basically the supermoon. You
Supermoon.
heard about it in the news, right? Well, the supermoon created chaos all over the planet with the currents and the tides. And we were the beneficiary and got stuck with the worst currents and tides we've ever seen.
And they were there to film it.
Yeah, you're going to see, I know for us in Opie season, that's all it was big waves and everything breaking because of the waves. And that's about all I want to say, but it was torture for us. I know that.
Think about a big full moon. People kind of go goofy. This was a super moon, so there was a lot of goofy going on.
I was howling at the moon for months.
He always howls at the moon, though. Come on now.
I guess we'll also, Discovery has teased, Bill, that you suffer an engine failure, one of the worst ones of your career. I know you won't tease that from me, but what makes an engine failure one of the worst ones? Just at the time it happens, or for each of you, what's kind of the worst mechanical failure you've had?
I mean, just the word failure. It's not in the book, and it keeps you from proceeding like you plan. Can't tell you. Tuesday at 9, baby.
Oh, but yeah, she's right. Timing, like if it's right before a season, that sucks. If it's in the middle of
Is there ever a good time?
No, it's never.
No.
Or where you're at. I mean,
It's expensive. And I'll give you this. When it happens unexpectedly, you have to repair it in an emergency mode, which we're miles from everything. It's further from Dutch Harbor to Juneau. There's from San Francisco to New York. To get parts out there, when on a couple different planes, they show up looking like they were kicked down the runway. It was tough.
And we've seen in the past, like, Sig, whenever there was, like, the fire on the Northwestern where you've, asked the camera, just, like, give me a minute to think without this camera in my face. Are there situations for each of you this season where you sort of ask, just, like, give me a minute to figure this out, and then I'll give you the comment, that you want?
I had a situation.
not about the
during
comment
Opie.
that you want.
Right, just saying something.
Just give me the damn minute, so you can actually,
Address the emergency.
think, and address the emergency. Yeah, and we go through it all the time.
Hey, so what's the worst thing that could happen right now that the boat's burning? See?
And tell me about your sex life.
Yeah, so like,
But it's like, but my point is like the camera guys are getting so good at what they do, right? Like it's like this badge of honor that they have now, where they know how to address you better. They're not like 14 years ago where you got this guy that's just in your face. Well, now they know that it's problematic for them. Like their lives might be at stake, so they do give you a second to think, because it's job first, camera second. That's it.
yeah, I think production they have to be wise and privy to how each captain runs their boat. Because if I get a producer that's forceful and I don't get along with them, if there's a problem in the engine room, I'll tell them right away before the season, well, you better follow quickly because I'm not stopping for you or anybody. Now, if I get along with them and they're a part of our team, then as I'm running down to get an emergency, I'll let them know, get your stuff ready, let's go. There's a problem, and I can talk to them. But if I don't jive with them, peace, you missed it.
We know that Jonathan Hillstrand used to be the master of the pranks. The Time Bandit isn't on the show this season. Who's taken over that title of prank master?
Well, it was actually Sig and John. And then they roped Bill into it after they...
No, they roped you into it.
They roped me into it. But I think it would be Sig, but I don't know if you pulled
I'll
any
honestly
pranks.
say I behaved. I think Keith's got a little something up his sleeve.
I think it's these guys back here.
Right here, yeah.
I know these guys
Josh and
did
Casey
something.
are big
They
time
did do
pranksters.
something. I don't know about these other guys.
Josh, anything you want to cop to now?
Not even a little bit.
Fine.
Hey, but we're keeping it interesting.
When are you coming
Yeah.
to Dutch Harbor?
Oh, would you actually let me on a boat?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get up there,
on up.
man.
Come
You'd
on.
love it.
But now some people I heard like when they get on there, even though Edgar, right, still kind of gets sick, his brother, whenever he goes out for the first time.
I know what that guy has for breakfast
you do? You
every
get sick?
single time.
Seasick every time.
All you do is
They
look
don't-
out the
some
window and
people
say,
do.
"Oh, oatmeal. There's those
See me
cornflakes."
puking. I mean, that's not very cool. I mean, we've seen a lot of that, but I get seasick for about 5 days every time, and then I have to keep working and driving the boat. So I'll just go out back and puke real quick and come back in. Don't ever want to show the crew that, 'cause then it looks like I'm weak.
What makes the professional crabber isn't that he doesn't get seasick or doesn't get hurt. He gets all those things, problems at home. It's that he has to set those aside until his job is done. That's what makes the professional crabber is he does get seasick all the time. He does have tendonitis and all these other problems and breaks his hand and arms, but he keeps going, and that's what these guys have done, and that's where Josh and I, as the younger skippers, have problems with the millennials. I've had a lot of problems where a guy is like, my foot, and you go, let me take off the boot, let's look at it. There's no red mark, there's no bruise, but yet they want to go inside. And I know for these guys would try to go back out there, Corey Eisenbarth, with broken pelvis, and skippers would have to, no, you have to get off the deck. And that's the generation that they are, and which I love, is that older generation of real men, real crabbers. Now everybody, I think since the television show, wants the badge, but doesn't want to do it because every time it seems to get tough, they want to go inside.
Keith, you had told me about a guy named Dane, I guess Greenhorn, who he wanted to quit, but then he didn't realize he was on the boat for like 7 more days after he quit. And how it was interesting, you told me you never know how a guy is going to react. Does he think he's going home right away, and instead he's on the boat for 7 more days? So, and you were like, yeah, you don't know if he's going to try and screw with something on the boat or what's going to happen. Do you all sort of face that whenever someone isn't working out? Are you kind of nervous about how soon you can get them off the boat? And
I usually just motivate them to go back out on deck.
Yeah.
You get them back on
In a
deck
very
if
polite
you can.
way.
I'm sure it's very, very
But
polite.
there's times when you
Phil.
can't get them on deck. There's times when you have to get them to the beach. I mean, there's been
If they're hurt, you're gonna get them.
no, not hurt, but if they are a hazard to the boat, like you truly think they're going to sabotage something
Oh, yeah.
or attack someone.
We've
or
had
do
guys
something
that were
like
literally-
just get them to the beach.
We had guys that they had to tie up, throw them in their bunk, tied up because we thought they were a threat to themselves or the crew. And then a few days later, when you're done fishing, you get to the beach. Nowadays they call
You
that
can
a
see their reaction in the back
Well,
row
your
to that.
crew's all family. You're telling me you had your family tied up? in
no.
the bunk?
Was it Edgar?
I'm not gonna say the name. I'm not gonna say the boat. I'm just saying not we, but the fleet. And so, but nowadays you can't really get away with that because everybody's so happy, and so you can't.
You can't
I
even.
mean, I suppose you could.
We still legally can.
Legally, you can tie somebody up and say, all right, it's for your own good. Oh, by the way, we'll be in about a week because we got stuff to do. Too bad.
If somebody's going to endanger another crew member, like they're at them to stab them or whatever, you're allowed to apply lethal force to protect the lives as a captain. It's like one of those maritime laws. I don't think I'd ever want to test it. Like, that might be a tough one to explain, but it is. I've talked to the Coast Guard about it. Say you have a guy that's like slashing at other crew members, you're allowed to do whatever it takes to put him down.
Just having Bill look at you wrong is lethal force.
On that note, we're going to move to the audience Q&A portion of the interview. Let's see, we have one right here.
Hi. So I was wondering, how do you determine who to bring on, or do you screen some of the new crew members, and how do you know that they're not going to try to kill you beforehand? Besides being family members.
He's thinking like resume, like do you screen him? You've got the big resume.
Seems like everybody I give a urine analysis, a background check, and they come up clean, they turn out to be the worst.
Yeah, if you usually ask somebody like, have you been to jail? Do you have a driver's license? And, what's your longest job you've had? If they've been to jail, they don't have a driver's license, then they're usually perfect.
And back child support, too.
Oh, yeah.
That helps because they
typically-
need the money really bad.
Yeah. It seems work. Usually guys with felonies do really well. I don't know why that is.
Usually we screen him in a bar or something like that.
That's generally.
Here, have another
the
drink. Okay, now tell me the truth.
They used to ask, do you have a drug or alcohol problem? And if they answered no, they didn't get the job.
That was the old school ways.
That was the old school way, yeah.
Keith, anything you want to add to your, what's your process? I feel like you might give us.
I was about to say none of the above,
Right.
but nah, you know, a lot of us get guys that are in other fishing industries. They broke in on a salmon boat. They've done this. You know, maybe they're friends of the family. You know, we meet guys constantly. They're like, man, I really want a job. I want to do that. You know, I'm like the toughest guy you'll ever see, and I'm going to be the best you've ever had. And anybody that says that is immediately like, oh, gone. You know, those are the first ones to crack. So, you know, it's difficult. You know, it's like a less than 10% success rate for greenhorns coming on the boat. You know, so
You can never judge a book by the cover. You can be the biggest guy or the smallest guy. It's just you got to have it in here and in here. If you don't got it, you're not going to make it.
Oh yeah,
have to be big.
My little guy OJ, I got him last year. He's a rock star. He probably weighs 120 pounds. You know, I mean, is he going to be throwing 100 pounds worth of line in the pot? Probably not.
Now, when you see this guy, though, when you see OJ, you would never think it because he's got the weird eye thing going, so you never know if he's looking at you. Like,
You gotta-
he's a great dude.
You gotta
And
pick an
so
eye.
when you see him, because he's this tall, and you look at this kid, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And the guy's a rock star, though. Awesome dude. Like,
And nobody ever says anything about it, but then Freddie comes on the boat this year, and he's like going, oh, man, what's wrong with your eyes? You know, don't worry, we'll fix it by hitting you a few times.
straight up, dude. Freddie tells us.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
Normal or like,
Oh, man, OJ's a rock star.
Freddie, gotta love Freddie. No, we've seen Sig's daughter, Mandy, has been on deck on the Northwestern. I know, Keith, we talked years ago, and you mentioned there was a woman from Wyoming once came up, 6 foot, really strong woman. I think she played like volleyball or something, and she was, you kind of, were giving her a place to stay while she went down the dock looking for a job. Do you ever get a lot of women who try to apply, or is that still not the case?
generally, the women that make it up there would pretty much kick the shit out of any one of us sitting right here. Like, it's kind of impressive.
There's been a few that have done it.
Sharon was a rock star. Like, there's been a couple in Alaska, but they also grew up in like the salmon industry. They grew up in Alaska, so they know the system and been doing it since they were young. You know, there's some awesome.
You had Mandy on the boat. I had Amy on the boat a few years ago, and Amy's, her hands are as big as mine, and she was a strong, really good worker. But what we found for me was that it was a distraction to the guys. Like the older guys were like they're looking out like some, like their daughter. They're spending too much time worrying about her. The younger guys were feeling emasculated because, well, there's a girl on deck with me. Girls can't do this job. And so the whole crew dynamic shifted and changed, and it was havoc on my boat. And I'm like, I can't have this.
But they do have the progress. There's a woman captain, very good, very strong. And she has pretty much an all-woman crew, right?
No. Tiffany's got guys for deckhands, but Tiff's been up there for years. In fact, her boat, the Progress, will probably be on the show this year.
She'll be on the show, right?
They took the windows out of the wheelhouse. And
in other words, a wave hit the boat so hard that it breaks all the windows in your wheelhouse and
And it folded the visor back. And the boat's been in the fleet for, 15, 20 years. So it's been through that many winters. And you asked if the weather was bad this winter?
Yeah.
Check it
She
out.
may or may not have been 40 to 60 miles east of me.
Wow. Okay.
And as far as women on boats with the current political thing, I think women are awesome on boats.
fantastic. That's you know what? I'm considering a whole new crew next year.
I'm just going to shut my mouth. Next question.
Next question. Back to the audience. We're here.
Hi. So I was wondering, after the many seasons you guys been on TV, what is the most glorious moment that you caught on camera and are very happy about it to this day?
Well, for me, it's easy. When I worked with my son a couple years ago. I mean, I've had seasons where I had just amazing seasons, and when we hauled that last pot, it was like, almost, the highlights of my life, watching my kids being born. Fishing, and then fishing with my son. Fishing with my son was fantastic.
As far as fishing goes, is when I got my jacket on the Northwestern. There was a lot more going on than just getting the jacket. It was where I just came from, just having struggles in my own life. And then when the guys on the Northwestern basically made me a part of something that was huge to me that I never thought I could achieve. So becoming a captain and all that, it's been great and all that. But the biggest moment, I think, the most significant moment was what that jacket signified for me as a person. And,
I'd say, man, I mean, my whole adult life I've been on TV. How crazy is that? I mean, that is nuts. So you guys have seen me, succeed, fail, biggest triumphs, biggest just, crazy stuff. And it's kind of cool because, I had a one-night stand that turned into a lifetime memories. And, my kid will eventually get to see, her grandfather, over the years, and it's as real as it gets. I'm not saying I'm a beacon of hope by any means, but at least, you can see a good portion of my life and my dad and everything else. Like, they got the last conversation I ever had with my dad, and I totally forgot about that until just last year because I've only seen that episode twice, and when he passed away. So it was kind of crazy, but I forgot what I said to him last time I talked to him, So that was kind of cool for me, and it's just kind of crazy. My whole adult life I've been on TV. How weird is that, though? I don't know. What do you got, Bill?
Well, for me, it's all the mini moments when you'll have an extremely dangerous situation and the crew comes together and they pull it off, and you can tell that, it's an event. Luckily enough, it gets recorded. Some of the stuff these guys go through, it's epic. And to have a record of it is phenomenal. So I'm sure when I have great grandkids, they're going to say, Granddad was kind of an ass, but I'm ready for that.
Just edit out some episodes, though. I'm sure Discovery will hook you up with some. Yeah.
Just for the record, kids, Granddad was never an ass. He's just doing his job. Mine, I'm 14 years into it. There's so many moments, like you guys said, but for me, just because I had that heart attack, and then, but not about that, but when my family was there, like when I snapped out of it and saw them and they've recorded all that, that just blew me away. I didn't, you're on dope and you're all goofed up. I didn't even know they were there right out of the gate. But then you see it on the television show, and you're just like, wow, man, you see it differently. So it was recorded. So that was pretty near to my heart.
I think we have one more audience question here.
Hey guys, so being on the show for so many years, why do you think people tune in or come back to watch the show? Like, what do you guys think the reason is?
I would say the biggest mystery of life is death, and people love to see mayhem. People love to see successes and failures, and what you see is what you get. We don't have a script. We're not like the Kardashians, where our biggest problem is, are we going to buy the red Lambo or the purple Lambo?
Come on, Josh, you're just as good looking.
Not even close. But I had to shave before I came over here. Flying from Seattle to New York, I get randomly selected every time when I have my beard, so I know better. But, everyone deals with these problems. They deal with a lot of the problems that we deal with because you get to see a lot of our home life. You get to see our success and our failures. You get to watch what we do, and does it work for us? It's like with me personally, my brother who abused drugs, out of control, and losing a family member where now we got to take over the business. And, people get to watch all this stuff because they're going through similar things. And how do you cope with all this? Is there a right way? Is there a wrong way? They think we have a lot of these answers because you get to see me do it and watch me fail miserably, or you get to see me succeed. And so a lot of people, can relate to all that. And it's, I think that has a lot to do with it. And seeing limbs get ripped off or fingers getting cut off or all stuff, people are really curious about that stuff. They really see this stuff happen because it's really happening, and it's really creepy and scary.
We kind of are the train wreck that you slow down to look at in many ways. But, I like our audience is incredibly diverse. And you know what? Dad doesn't want to watch Oprah, right? Mom doesn't want to watch sports, and the kids don't want to watch either of it. But I can't tell you how many families I see where it's like, oh, yeah, we watch it together. It's like the one thing on TV that we really like watching together. So I think that's one of the things that's helped us, for the long term, keep us where we're at, still on TV.
People watch Westerns and think, boy, I'd like to live in that era. How cool would that be, just to ride across the plains on a horse and bust into a tavern and kick somebody's butt? And I think a lot of that, maybe I watched it like that.
That's episode 5 this year with Bill.
It's episode 5.
But come on, how many times do we go places and people say, I'd like to try that just once? It's not Disneyland. You don't do it just once. You do it as a career. You do it lifelong. Yeah. But most everybody that watches it wants to try it because it's adventurous. It's like NASCAR at 8 knots. We're waiting for the crash, right?
I think for me, with the help of my peers, it's like the Truman Show for the public. They've basically watched me and Josh, they've watched me grow up and follow the American dream and accomplish that American dream. It's not pretty, it's ugly. There's a lot of kicking and crying and moaning, and that's just one of the 50 interesting stories that are on there, and they're 100% authentic, and I think that's what can draw the crowd. So I really believe in the integrity of the show, and I think I can speak for all of us that's what it is. You're really watching a real documentary, and yeah, I think it's great when I can watch everybody else. Even I'm still inspired to watch them. And
I just want to, last question from me is just, Josh, you were mentioning the episode with your dad in your last conversation. I remember I recapped that episode and I wrote in the review that I'm hoping someday in the future, Josh will be able to see that conversation, which was just so touching and special. And then, Sig, you mentioned with your family being there. I guess it must be, at this point, you must have so much faith in the network that they can do those hard stories well, that they're respectful of you, hopefully. I guess, what does that mean to you to have that trust in the producers and stuff, since you've been with them for so many years, to do these really tough stories well?
My dad, when he couldn't talk and he was in the hospital and he was on the last limbs, was like, do you want them to keep filming? He just wrote on a napkin, keep filming, there has to be an end to the story, and that was like, whoa, but he wanted everyone to see his life, and that's what we signed up for. So that was kind of crazy, and they let it happen, and they did a great job. They were very tasteful, they got a lot of footage of a lot of things. I mean, at the very end, we were taking him to the airplane, and then we get the phone call, hey, he wanted his crab necklace. I'm like, you can't touch it, you can't have it. We're getting ready to load him on a life flight jet. I get a phone call, and it's like, hey, he just hit code, so you need to get your ass back here. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, if a cop gets behind you, just keep going. And I mean, I walk in, and they had the chest spreader, fully spread wide, then the doctors were pumping his heart by hand. And I was like, holy shit, this is really happening. They're like, maybe you should go wait in the other room, and I'm like, wow, And they caught a lot of this stuff, and it's like they did it very, very awesomely, And I think he would have been proud about it, and he always wanted to go out big, and he had his different ideas on how he actually wanted to go out, but we won't discuss that. But, it was, he was larger than life, and so it's kind of cool, and his story, I think, helped a lot of people.
I think your ride just got here, Josh.
Okay, it's been cool, but I got to go.
You asked about the network, and they have been very respectful, and like we lost another boat last year, some of our very good friends. And Destination, and of course we lost Phil, and then we lost. Point is, they could have exploited that to no end, and they didn't, out of respect. So, yeah, hats off. So Discovery's done, and the production company have done very well, and trying to keep us, together. It's a pretty good deal.
Well, on that note, I just want to thank you guys all for being here today. We look forward to the new season, when does it start, Bill? Can you tell us?
Yeah. The Bait is Tuesday at 8, followed up by an all-new season of Deadliest Catch, season 14, Tuesday at 9. Tune in.
Shouldn't he be a weatherman? He could be a weatherman.
200th episode. Thank you, guys. That was